When it comes to what Marvel Studios can toss into its live-action version of the Marvel Universe now, pretty much everything is on the table. This pretty much was personified with Loki, where we literally saw the Thanos Copter. I mean, did anybody actually believe we would ever get a live-action reference to that? Probably not. Now we know how that came to be. I mean, come on, like, look at that. Like, nobody could have expected that that was going to be referenced. That specific panel, that specific thing, the same type of helicopter just appearing there. That's a pretty big pull, and pretty awesome to talk about and see and just be hyped about, because that's one of those things that you realize that them putting that in there, it's like, okay, nothing is off the table anymore. They can do and reference whatever they want, and it just works, and that's kind of cool. So after Loki officially wrapped its first season, Kate Herron, the director, has been making the rounds, and she talks about that Easter egg in episode 5. And essentially, she figured that the scene they were doing needed some filler stuff, that they wanted to make references and callbacks and shoutouts to familiar things. And one thing that was obvious was Throg. That was approved. But then they decided to ask Kevin whether they can make the Thanos helicopter a reality. And they got back to them telling them, yeah, we can totally do that. You can do that. Let's have fun with this. Let's see what else we can get in there, and let's go from there. So all those references that we see in that episode, and probably more that will be uncovered in the next months and maybe even years from now at some point, they're all in there, and they were all approved by Marvel Studios and Marvel, which honestly is pretty awesome, because it's a different time now than it was even 5 years ago. And what I mean by that is, if you look at how things have changed at Marvel, with Kevin Feige now running Marvel Comics and everything Marvel, he is really the end-all and be-all to making every call. So when he says you can do this, there's probably a reason, and there's a plan, and we know that there is plans. And this doesn't mean that we're gonna see Thanos in that chopper at some point, doing his thing, but it directly pulls from the comics, and it pulls from that universe, and somewhere in the multiverse that scene happened, and it's a fun little nod. And if you don't know any better, if you're just a casual, you probably saw that and you didn't even realize it said Thanos, because you've already moved on to the next thing, because who cares? You probably didn't even know how to spell Thanos if you're a casual viewer. But for us fans, it's a nice little, like, hey, thanks for watching, check out all these little things you guys never expected, but we're putting them in here for you. And that's cool. That's always great. It's fan service. You can't complain about fan service. I mean, you can. God knows people do. But it's pretty cool that Marvel Studios was so quick to respond with, yeah, put that in there. That's great. Like, look at the other guys. They can't even reference their own universe because of embargoes.